What up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Algo channel. Today we will be getting straight into it. I don't have that much time, so I will go over it quite quickly today. So, right here we have the S&P, we've had that bearish open, which is looking quite decent in my opinion, since while we opened, we were able to sweep this level, trade into this support, which became a pivotal point here, got hit here, and now I confirmed it as a support, where now we get the sweep of this level into this support area. So what do we want to see on the lower time frame? Of course, we want to see this getting held, where we do some price action like we are currently seeing right here. Unless we trade back below this, I am leaning more towards upside. But there is also the chance that we just retest this before we go up. So keep that in mind and keep your eyes open. But I do think that this is a local low right now. So with that having said, get into Bitcoin, because most people find this the important one. Right here, we had two scenarios, of course, we were watching. Either we manage to break above this point, we reclaim it and we go up. Or we trade into this level, trade back into it to find acceptance below it, and then we sweep one of these lows. Well, that's exactly what we got. And on a lower time frame, I think most of you guys should recognize the pattern by now, where we have this 1, 2, and number 3, where it is only valid if the number 3 is being formed in between 1 and 2, where this is your trigger zone, because this is your low. If it gets below this, you just simply don't have a 1, 2, 3. So you want to see it hold here, start to gain some momentum, and here we play this. And when it gets retested, you sometimes have the opportunity to add to your position. So, with that having said, let's get into what my expectations will be right now. This is unvalid right now, but I do think we should see some price action still like that on the lower time frames. So I will quickly remove all of this because it already played out. So, when we look at this right here, I hope I explained this concept earlier, where we have a big move and we leave some volume behind, meaning an imbalance. Because how do we want to see price trade? Something like this. Red retraces back into it. Here it did not retrace. We are only now retracing back into this void. So what do we want to see on those lower time frames? For that I will go into the volume levels, where we can analyze the levels based on volume, which I like to do. So when we look at this, it's quite clear that this is your crucial level right here to hold, and we are still in that lower time frame uptrend if we hold here. So with that in mind, we already swept these levels on that New York Open. Well, I do think a bit of the market is actually closed, but I do see some price action, and I did see Nasdaq and S&P open. So I will consider it the New York Open anyways because of the time. So with that said, I do think this level will hold, where we do something like this, and then we start to chop a little bit around those high volume nodes, and then we just squeeze up. Because I have the expectation that a shitload of people are wanting to short this level, because it was a clear resistance. Here was a clear resistance. There is liquidity here, so people will assume this to be a liquidity grab if we trade something like this. And here, a liquidity grab, of course, you want it to be quick, where you see that reversion quick. So if it starts grabbing liquidity and it just starts going sideways, you are more likely to expect continuation than a real reversal. So this is what I am expecting for BTC. Of course, if we don't hold this level, what are you? You're looking at this sweep. If no reclaim, we are quite fucked in my opinion, where we should almost instantly trade back into these poor lows at 100k. So these are the two current ways we are looking at BTC. So when we start to look at ETH, we already see it. We had two scenarios. I removed those on the downside during the video. If you go back to the video, you will see the scenarios that I drew, where we retest these lows. Either we make some V shape. With a V shape, I mean an explosive move towards the downside, aggressive reclaim, and we just go up. This is the one we got. The one that was also possible is where we swept this level, got that retest, and then we went back up. It's quite clear which one we got. We got the V-shaped formation. The second setup was if we were able to reclaim this. Well, we did not even get above, and we also did not hold. As you can see, we did not get above, we did not hold. So this setup still stands, where I do think if we move past this and we reclaim it, we should just move up at minimum towards that 0.5 level. And of course, there is the high possibility that we just trade into that range high if we manage to break this 0.5 level. Because we quite simply see what happens when that 0.5 level really breaks. It just gains a momentum, where this would be trying to front run the reclaim of that 0.5 level, which I do like, since these are still your range lows. Around here, this is your macro range low. This is currently your lower time frame. So now that we have had those, let's look at the ones that are the most important in my opinion. Where here we have this BTCD chart, which is clearly uptrending. So what can we expect? This is that macro range. We look at it like this, from here to here. This I find your key pivotal area. Where did we bounce from? Again, that 0.5 level. So we made the range, we reclaimed the 0.5 level, and we started to form a new range, which we currently are still inside of. So where do we expect some resistance? I don't really see a lot, but I do assume that it should be around here. The only thing we have to watch, quite literally, is the bounce back below this point. So if we just continue to continuate from this compression, alts should just bleed more than BTC. Of course, some alts will most likely move more than BTC, but the general alts I do think will get some slaughter season if we see this move. Then on the other hand, we of course can get a rejection from this compression. This is the scenario I would be watching and expecting, since we are trying to break these highs, but we multiple times have already failed. So with that having said, let's get onto that ETH BTC chart, and there we will end the video. So when we look at this, it's still in that key area that we wanted to see hold. This of course was drawn on a daily time frame, where we had this range right here with those extension levels, quite similar to the regular ETH chart, which we have a range here. On ETH BTC, the range is quite similar. So when we look at this, we see this key area, which I do think we should flip over the coming days, where this is still just massive chop before that move up, in my opinion, where we like to call this reaccumulation. What is reaccumulation? I'll quickly show this where we have ranges. We have a range right there. We have a range right here. We have a range right here. We are currently forming a new range. Here we had a range. Here we also had a range. Here you had a lower time frame range. And our bottom was a typical Wyckoff accumulation, which is also a range. What was this? Also a range. What is this? Also a range. So the thing with ranges, they just get formed to chop people out because most people are just not built for scalping, and they expect that they can long a token here and just hold it all the way till here. But this works for a certain period of time. Later, you get this type of price action, and now in this part of price action, they thought they became a genius because they were just able to make money while clicking the buy button once and waiting for a shit while. So what do you think they will do here? The exact same, expecting that they can buy here and just hold multiple weeks on end and make money. But now you get a range. Now you start to doubt yourself. Can I even trade? What do I need to do? The market is shit. The market is against me. No, the market just changed. We went from a trending environment back into a range environment. So this is a big thing you guys need to understand, which is what I'm telling you. This is a rotational market. In ranges, you want to be quick to take profits and you want to be quick to find your triggers. Because when we look at this, it's quite easy to trade this move, where you just buy and hold. Here, if you buy and hold, you just get fucked. It doesn't matter if you bought here and you didn't take profits here and the market's going back to here, you will most likely close the trade, thinking it will drop even further. So this is a big thing people need to understand. The difference between a range and a trending market. So with that having said, I wanted to add this real quick into the video because I find this quite important. So now let's quickly sum it up. What do we expect? I expected this, where we just start to move up from here, like I stated on the volumetric chart, where we just move back up, which we already are doing. So I see I am talking too long. So with that having said, we'll just cut it here and I will quickly upload the video. So with that having said, guys, have a nice day and keep trading.